Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Christine Crowell here, and today I'm just following on really from the National Health Service, how the Wes Streeting is going to be doing a consultation tomorrow, which is the November the 20th, 2024, for example. And I just wanted to touch base with regards to, I did a video about this already, but I wanted to really go into it just to show a bit of history that, this is nothing new really. So basically what the only thing that's new really is that they've really sort of said, right, okay, let's target the band 2 and band 3, for example. Now, they want to reduce and regulate the use of agency staff, which, I totally understand that, because when you've got a business, you got to make sure that things aren't just being used willy-nilly without, really going into what the reasons are for usage. Was it urgent? Is it a critical need that's needed right now? So then if it is, then yes, it must continue, because otherwise there's going to be patients at risk, for example, of harm. So it has to be weighed up. You can't just say there'll be a complete ban. But also what I feel is unfair is that there's also going to be like a penalty for the managers that tend to use the agency, as if to say they're not going to get a certain pay rise or they're going to be penalized in some way. Well, I hope it's not like that. I'm just talking from what I'm seeing in the press, what I'm reading. I've been doing a lot of reading, and I've been really been researching about this since 2015, from when it first started being, implemented, for example, where agencies couldn't charge any more than 55% of what the hourly rate is of the permanent staff member that is in the hospital working alongside the agency work. And I understand that, wages should be fair. I totally understand. But also, we have to also understand that the agency worker, they're not getting all the benefits like a NHS worker would, for example. However, some of the rates have been really high, and I totally understand and I get that. But my point is that small to medium-sized enterprises, the agency owners, they don't charge high exorbitant fees. So I think that is a bit unfair, a bit short-sighted to rule out. I don't know whether they're ruling out everyone, but really they should look at the small to medium-sized enterprises to look at what their fees are before it gets, just sort of rejected instantly, for example. So in today's video, I just want to go into this just a bit more in depth, for example. So for other healthcare professionals, including registered nurses, the NHS, they have already established a price cap, and this is already aligned in the agency pay rates that they're already doing. And also this includes for permanent staff as well. And these caps are calculated by adding a percentage to the maximum NHS national pay rate for the substitutive code, for example. So this is really aiming to bring agency worker pay in line with the permanent rates, and there are some references which you can check this out. But the price caps came into place in 2015, and I will flip my camera over here so that you'll be able to see what I'm referring to. And I'm just going to get the document ready. So I'm just going to flip this so that you can actually see as well. Okay, so let me just flip this here. I'm going to have to turn it round from me to this. Okay, so this is the price cap, and this is the document that came out, many years ago, and it even has the rates of what was being charged back then and the year as well. So I'm turning back my camera. This is all real. So I'm flipping a bit here. So I'm just going to straighten this up a bit. But I wanted to show you the document so that you could actually see what I was referring to, so that you don't think I'm just speaking off the top of my head here, and I'm just fixing my camera here. I will be editing some of this so it looks a bit more neater. But the document that I'm showing to you, that I just showed to you, is, I'm going to put the link also in the description as well, so that you can see what the rates were back then, for example, and it's in alignment. And it even talks about band 2 and band 3. It's nothing new about the agency worker. Now, the price caps, it's been calculated on the work pay, the holiday pay, the employer's national insurance, the pension, the agency charge, because the agency has to charge an administrative cost. And in all honesty, I don't think 20% is terrible. I don't think that is ripping off the NHS whatsoever. I think that's a reasonable rate. And it really depends on the specialist staff, like I said, of who you send in. Because if you're a neurosurgeon, there's not many neurosurgeons even in the world. I mean, I live in Cyprus, for example, and there's not many neurosurgeons in the UK. There's a few that are really good, for example. Not saying that any of them are bad, because I've never had that experience, for example. But it really depends on the specialist, the specialism that person is able to provide. And they have worked really hard to get that qualification to become a doctor. The sacrifices, the years of training, the years of sleepless nights, the years of shifts, night shifts, day shifts, weekend shifts, time away from family and friends. And this is the reason why they want to become a doctor, is because they want to help the humanity, to help patients to have the best treatment that they can possibly have. However, these jobs are specialized. So that could be why it said that the person charges 2,000, that agency charged 2,000 per shift, for example, for a doctor, for a locum doctor, because it is specialized. It's not like it's a healthcare worker or support worker. I'm not degrading any of the support workers or care assistants, for example, but it's a lot different from a neurosurgeon who has got a lot of risk, responsibility on their shoulders. You know, they cut something wrong, that's it, someone could die from it. So it's a lot of risk that they're having to take as well. And I really want us to really put things into perspective here. The healthcare workers and the carers, for example, they should be able to work in the NHS as agency, because they want to have flexibility. They want to go into work when they want to go into work, and not be constantly drained, being called even on your day off. Even when you're asleep, you're being called, where someone's trying to get you to come in, and then you're then more exhausted because you're feeling pressured and you don't want to say no. So then you go into work and you're feeling exhausted, even though you know that you're there for delivering a high standard of care, for example. Then the agencies should be brought into place. We've got to use common sense here and not be so short-sighted, for example, because when I look at what the NHS professionals, which is the bank agency that is linked to the NHS, what their profitability is very good. For example, to get a dividend of like 18 million in 1 year, that's very good for those directors, for example. Yes, they save the NHS 6.5 million, for example, but when we look at all the other things that is being paid out by the government, I think the agency aspect is a very minute part of it. But also we've got to look at what the good is being done here, to help relieve the staff members, to help to help with patient care, for example, to help with transitions, to help the teams that are already working in the NHS, working really hard, permanent staff members that need that support, for example. And, we've just got to really use our common sense here and look at this aspect of, we want to save that. Yes, it's great that Rachel Reeves is pouring in this, I think it's 2 billion, for example, into the NHS, which I think is really good. It's brilliant. But we've also got to look at what is the real cost to provide a healthcare worker and a support worker. Is that really going to cause great difficulty for the NHS? I don't think so. And we need to really look at that, because the healthcare workers and support workers are needed in the hospitals, along with the permanent staff members, to also help the permanent staff members and to give them a break when they can't work, that someone else can step in and it's not going to wear down the ones that are working permanently on a continuous basis, because they don't really get a choice to say, no, I'm not coming into work today, without feeling bad. Yeah, so we got to look at and put things into perspective here. I know this consultation is happening tomorrow, for example, and I can't wait to hear the outcome from it, because I will be doing another video about this as well. But I wanted to, just talk to you about the changes that's happening here. I wanted to discuss this with you and to look at the specific rates and look at the document that I'm going to put here, the link. I'll put that in later. And the location is going to obviously determine what that rate is, for example. So that's going to be another factor as well. But the likelihood of the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, finding it acceptable for the NHS to utilize nursing agency staff, for example, agencies will adhere to this, and they will also adhere to the price caps. They're not going to charge what they're not allowed to charge. And do you think that the NHS will pay for it? No, they won't. They've got a budget, so the budget has to be within that cost, because we understand the public purse is important, for example. Now, like I said, the NHS will tell you what they're willing to pay, not the other way round. So how does it get to be that it's the level 2 and 3 that are being penalised, support staff, that are probably only getting £15 an hour, £16 an hour, because there's a certain portal where these contracts are held, and the rates are we're already told what those rates are. We're told what the buyer's rates, what they're willing to pay. And then that care provider, that agency, accepts that rate. And that rate is where they're just making probably £2 an hour on top of what the staff members' pay rate is. So I hope that this is making more sense to those of you that don't perhaps understand how it's working with the NHS. So you imagine you're paying your staff member the minimum, say the minimum wage is £12.21, for example, which it is, okay? And then you're then, as an agency, going to charge 20% on top to cover administration costs. Because when you're calling someone, are you there? Have you arrived? You got a call. Can you pick this call up, for example? Here's your rota. Oh, there's a problem with my rota. Oh, there's a problem with, with a client, for example. All of this takes money to pay the person that is on call, or even in the office that is taking the call, the care coordinators and things like that. That pays for the care coordinators. It pays for the managers. It pays for the clinical leads, it pays for these things. There has to be a charge on top of the staff members' hourly rate, just like in the hospitals, the permanent staff members, they get their hourly rate, and then there's managers who are also managing the team. So there is a rate that has to be charged, but it's not the rate that was displayed in the papers, but also with regards to what I read as well with the health secretary, for example. I really think that we need to really look at this in a logical way and not be so short-sighted that we're going to actually cause problems for the permanent staff members that are already tired and exhausted by saying you can't use agency staff. What's going to happen to them? Hey, I know that you're recruiting from abroad, sponsorship and everything. That's great. That's wonderful. That's going to get time. That's going to take time to implement. It's not instant. Yeah, this is going to be happening, say, for example, by April 2025. This is going to be like, across the board kind of thing. But the sponsorship has to take time. There's also the fact that maybe the person might not want to be in that hospital. They get moved to another hospital. So there's got to be the agencies still need to be used, because we cannot just cut it off. And we certainly shouldn't be penalizing the managers because they've decided to use agency because they don't have anyone that is able to do the job right there and then, because the staff that they have may be off sick, or maybe they're resting, ready for a night shift. So we have to think logically here. Okay, so I just wanted to jump in because I don't want care providers to be frightened and think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to have an agency. I only deal with carers, support workers. You will have your agency, but you've got to become specialized. You got to become specialized, so, to the point that they need you. They're talking about that some of the agency staff, for example, have made some mistakes, but that also happens with permanent staff as well. Nobody is perfect. We're not AI, we're not robots, we're human beings. We're going to, unfortunately, make some mistakes. And, I pray to God that it's not deadly mistakes. That's the problem. Or someone's been impacted greatly. Okay? But permanent staff as well as agency staff, everybody makes a mistake. So I just wanted to drop this in here. Please like and subscribe for any further training and updates, because I'd love for you to be a part of what I'm talking about and to comment. Let me know what you think, whether it's you don't agree with it, what I'm saying, or whether you do agree. Let's have an open discussion, because at the end of the day, we have to look at the whole picture. How is this going to really benefit patients that need the service, for example? So do also book a free 15-minute appointment with me, and I can talk to you about some strategies that you can introduce, and also to talk about what your rates are going to be, so that you are competitive, so that you're not going to be compromising the NHS's funding, because that's certainly not what care providers want to do. They're not there to milk the NHS dry. These small care providers, they are paying their staff members, say, for example, 12.21 to £15, £16 an hour as a healthcare worker, for example. Then they're putting on, say, another £2, £2.50, £3, sometimes £4 per hour. Is that such a bad thing? No, it's not, because they've got to cover their costs. They've got their taxes to pay, they've got their bills to pay, they've got their national insurance, they've got the pensions, they've got all of these things that they need to think about. Their software, their ICOs, their licenses that they have to do, telephone systems, mobile phones, software. The list is endless. So let's be realistic here. I don't want you care providers to think, oh my goodness, this is going to cause a big effect on my business, because this has been said for donkey's years. I've heard it, and I've been in healthcare for 35 years, and it has been said over and over and over again. And it's always happens every so often. There's a pattern here, and I'll go into that a bit deeper. But I just also want to say I understand that that the government is trying to make things run efficiently and effectively, but this is not going to help the situation, for example, and that's my point of view. You know, everyone's got their point of view. So like I said, comment here so that I can see, and I will, you know, obviously respect your comments, for example, because we're all able to say how we feel. All right, so I hope that you've enjoyed today's discussion. That's me having a little debate about what's going to be happening tomorrow. I don't have a clue what they're going to be saying because I'm not in the room, but I can't wait to hear the comments about tomorrow, what is going to be said, so I can then do a further video here. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Share this video. Join me tonight for the 30-day challenge, which is the CEO challenge for you to become an elite performer in your business. And really, the CEO challenge is about challenges that we face as CEOs. And these challenges are there to help us to grow, not for us to shrink and run away, you know, to just run back. We're running into it, yeah? We're running into it. We are Navy SEALs. CEOs, we got to be like Navy SEALs, Team 6, or Simone Biles, for example. We got to be like them. We can't just let the fear overcome us. We got to overcome the fear and run towards that fear, because that is going to make you overcome that challenge, and you're going to feel tall. You know, like there's a story where this man, there was loads of dogs running to him, for example. Most people, they would have ran off. I would have done anyway, being truthful. But he ran towards the dogs, and these dogs, they were slithering, they were really angry, they were really going for it. And he was running to the dogs, and the dog started running faster. So then he started running faster, and he was like, you know, really angry, running towards the dogs. Guess what happened? The dogs ran off. And that's how we got to be. We got to face our fears and run and meet them, because we will overcome them. And we must see this as an opportunity for us to grow our healthcare business, for example, or any business that you're in. You want to grow it, and you want to become stronger. And these challenges will help you to deal with the next challenge that you get faced, because life will always throw challenges at you in business. You will always be faced with regulations, changes, etc. You just got to roll with it, and you've got to roll and get back up and face it and grow. All right, so thank you so much. I look forward to speaking with you tonight. Please join me 7 p.m. UK time for the day 29 of the CEO challenge. I'm looking forward to talking to you about that. It starts at 7 p.m. So like I said, subscribe to the channel so that you get updates for when I'm going live, because I'm planning on doing a live. I've been doing a live now. This is a 30-day challenge. So I've been going live every day for 30 days, and I'm going to have another set of challenges as well, which is something slightly different, which is about side hustles, about multiple income stream, because I want to help you to make money as quickly as possible as well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Take care. Bye.